Hi, very good afternoon. Good evening to everyone. Okay, thank you for having me here tonight with me. And this is, of course, I think our coming ninth episode, right? Of we'll be talking more about Bazi and Feng Shui. Okay, good evening to every one of you. So do just again drop me your comments. Just say hi on letting me know where are you guys connecting from. Okay, so right, just a few shout out. Huh? Okay, we have Joanne. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Eddie. Hi, Ron. Hi, Anthony. Hi, Francis. Hi, Helen. Hi, Flo. Okay, just keep letting me know where you guys is connecting from because tonight we'll start to get a bit more advanced with our parser decoding. Now, if you have just joined me for the very first time, okay, so you realize that we have been doing this for the last 8 episodes, right? I'll be teaching you how to decode your parser chart. Now, if you actually do not know how do we generate our chart from here, okay, just let me know who are the one that is first one. If this is your first time, basically joining a session like this, just type in me, right? So I know how many of you is first time, right? I do see a lot of the regular fans connecting here to me. Yeah? So hi Flo, hi Ching. So if this is the first time, punch in me, so I know that I can give you some guidelines. So at least you know what are some of the vital informations that we need to go and fetch. Okay. So I also have to get you access to the parts calculator, which you'll be able to key in your parts chart, date of birth and time. Yeah. So we have Shahzad, that's first time. Good to have you. All right. So we have Jane Lau, first time. Christine Wu, first time joining us. Okay. So this is what you guys can do. Right? If this is the first time joining, what you can do is please go on to this website, which is mybazi.info. Right. So once you get onto the website, you'll be able to key in your date of birth and time. This is based on the English date of birth and time. All right. So the software will do an analysis generation of the chart for you. So just make sure that you get access to this chart. So at least, you guys know how to proceed from here. Some are very long regulars. I've been seeing a lot of you for a long time. Thank you for always sharing your evening time with me. But of course, I assure you that what we are doing here is very important because technically we are not just teaching you how to decode your parts chart for nothing. To me, this is a tools I learned from a very long period of time, especially during a time whereby I was trying to seek directions. That was almost close to 20 years. So very long time here. Okay, so some of you will just join me, right? So very good evening to you. Thank you for having me tonight. Now today, the part of the night show is I'll be talking about a few things. First, it's we get on a bit of practices to learn how to decode your Bazi chart, right? So that is quite easy. We realize that Bazi might sound complicated to a lot of people, but if you get through the step-by-steps, you will realize it's not difficult to get that. And these days we have software, right? So the software will be able to help to get a lot of this information out to you in just seconds, right? So those that is first time, okay, again, you just type in me, right? So I'll be able to know this is your first time, and you will have this is on my screen, mybazi.info, right? So get on it, get your chart out, and you should be able to get access to it very quickly. Okay, so now this night show I'll divide into 3 parts, right? So the first part we talk a bit about decoding parts. So what sort of information do we want to be getting from our date of birth and time? I always say this question now. If you are not interested in this date of birth and time, I always ask them who in the world will be interested in that, right? So there is 2 important days in our life that we always want to make sure that we found out, right? Of course, the first important days is, of course, our birthday. Now, to me, the second important days is the day you find out why are you here on Earth, okay? Your destiny chart. Now, that to me is important because if you know and get access to all of this, you must know that your destiny chart already serves somewhat like a blueprint of what is your journey in life is going to be. But it's not 100% carved in stone because, technically you still have a lot of control in terms of action, in terms of a free will and setting of intention. So this is what we are trying to do here. Once you have a good guideline, you'll be able to adopt the right path. And we are talking about the path of least resistance. Okay, so if you understand the path of least resistance, just key in least, right? Type list. So at least I know that you are getting me on that. So what do we mean by talking about the path of least resistance? So imagine this, someone, comes to society and you realize this, among us, there may be some people, they may be a bit more luckier than what you see than the commoners out there, right? So if you see, these people progress in life very smoothly and very fast, they seem to be very high flyer. So a lot of people ask questions, why is that so? Does it actually bonds with the luck? That means once you have this sort of chart, you'll be able to have a very smooth flowing passage throughout your entire life. Well, technically, if you look at the Bazi chart itself, it does tells you what is the blueprint, right? Going from now to the future. But again, your action, it's going to, you can actually change the blueprint. So example, if you know that, your journey in life, you're going to be like 10x, 10 times, right? You can actually change the blueprint to 20 times if you want it, right? So that's completely possible. But that's the thing is, too many people, most of us, we actually try things in life by doing trial and error. So trial and error sometimes takes too much time, and sometimes it wastes a lot of precious resources. So the last thing we want is to go down that path, right? So that will be the first part. Let's go through a little bit of parts of decoding. Now, the second part is I thought that you guys want to learn a bit more in Feng Shui. Now, I've covered that in my last episode, episode 8. Now, if you want to know Feng Shui, type in Feng Shui right now. So at least I know how many of you really is interested into that, part of the knowledge. At least I passed out some precious information, which you can use it very fast. You don't need a couple of years to master Feng Shui. So if you really, will be looking at Feng Shui, just type Feng Shui right now. So I get some of the response that is coming from you, right? So at least I know how many of you is looking at that. So we have Chris. Yes, Chris is, want to look at Feng Shui. And then we have Xuan Yi, we have Astro, we have Flaw, right? So yeah, just keep your comments coming. I'm trying to make this a two-way session, interactive session. So, like every couple of days in a week, I have a short chat with you guys. I communicate with you on some of the best practices, some of the key things that you can always learn, yeah? So we have Amen, good to have you supporting the show all the while, right? And we have Jennifer, we have Anthony, right? And we have Sharon, and of course, Jackson was looking at Feng Shui and Bazi, okay? So quite a lot of practitioner out there, which is great, right? So that's one of the key reasons we are not here to be spending time on just having a chit chat. I thought that every session I will value add by giving you access to information where you realize that you can actually get hands-on with it pretty fast. Okay, let me just get on talking a bit about the Bazi chart itself. Okay, so let me just bring out my screen here. Okay, today I just want to talk a bit more in terms of what is the pillar. Right now, if you don't know what pillar we are talking about, right? So first and foremost, you need to generate a Bazi chart. That is mybazi.info. Okay, so once you get access to it, right, you will get onto your date of birth and time, which is somewhat look like what I have on my screen. So you have a year, you have a month, and then you have a day and an hour, right? So if you kind of get access, just make sure that you go into your Bazi chart. Now, whenever you're studying this, please try to understand that what you want to be doing is you want to not only plotting your own chart, you want to plot your family chart, your loved ones. So, you are also helping them at the same time. This is very important because sometimes you may not be the one facing a crisis or problem. They may be the one, right? So if you get access to this knowledge, you are actually lending strength and power to empower people that's around you. This is important, right? Now, if you just join me for this session, please help me to do this. Help me to like and share the post. Now, when you share the post, please set the post to public, right? So once you have done that, again, what will happen is technically you will get the status of a sharer. So example, if you don't know what's a sharer status, let me just put it up. So for example, Joshua Wong has obtained the status of a sharer. So once you get the sharer status, what will happen is in the third part, which I will be answering some parts of Q&A, I'll be picking some of your questions with regards to your Bazi, right? So that means you have to give me a date of birth and time, you ask a question, and then I'll try to give you some advice based on the date of birth and time and what the stars is trying to tell you. Of course, this I will pick from the pool of sharer, people who share the post. So why are we doing this is generally quite straightforward now. Current time right now, actually my consultations and our team entirely every day we are completely full because a lot of people is asking for directions, a lot of people wants advice. But I also thought since some of the time, I've been doing Zoom consultations almost like virtually 6 to 7 hours consistently a day. So I take up some time at night where I thought that I contribute a bit of this time to the community. And some of you out there can be also using this precious information that will be helping a lot of individuals, and you can use this to decode your own chart, and then you get clarity. Now, the whole idea is to get clarity, right? So once you have liked the post, please help to share. You need to set the post to public, because if you don't set it to public, you will not obtain this sharer status. So once you've done that, so example, the next person that's done it is Jin Lo. So Jin Lo is also a sharer now. So please do that, because in the third session with the Q&A, I'll be picking some questions from the sharer pool of people. Okay, so when you share, you get some priorities. In fact, I've been doing this for the last few episodes. Okay, so I think quite a few people benefited from the advice and clarity moving forward. So today, first part, let's look a bit about the Bazi structure itself. Now, when you look at the Bazi chart, too often, the last few episodes, we were looking at 10 God. Now, if you don't know what is 10 God, we're actually looking at this part of the chart, right? So when you plot the Bazi chart, right, so this is apparently what you get to see on the chart itself, okay? So when it comes to this part, if you look at this 10 God structure, now this is the box that actually pulls out a lot of valuable information. Now, this box says everything that what is your weakness, what is your strength, what is your real desire, what is the one thing that allows you to get fulfillment, okay? So when you get access to this information, okay, in case you do not know how do we really read the Friend, the Rockwell, the herding officers, the system will pull out the percentage by itself, so you don't spend a lot of time trying to decode this information. Now, in our last few episodes 5, episode 6, 7, and 8, today's episode 9, right? So in the last 5 episodes, we covered this part, right? On every stars, what is the core characteristics? Because you want to realize your full, your final fulfillment destination. To me, that's important, because it is not just what you do in life that matters. It is what makes you, happy, and finally, at the end of it, that you understand that this is your life path. And I thought that's very important. Okay, so when you actually study the 10 God structure, you start to get a bit of percentage on that. You also will realize that, there is also this element thing, right? So if you look at this box here, it tells you a lot about the element thing. Now, what is this thing about element? Now, Bazi works on the principle of element. Now, if you understand this 5 element, help me type element right now, right? So help me type element, so I know that at least you understand what do we mean by the 5 element. So when we talk about the 5 element, we're talking about matter, water, wood, fire, earth. So one of the 5 elements, technically not everyone will have all 5 elements, but most of you will have a mix of at least 3 to 4 elements. Okay, some people may have 3 only, right? That's perfectly fine. But what is good to understand from this Bazi chart itself, it's because when you look at the element, right, it helps you to kind of understand that what is some of the core industry that basically you will most likely get into. Okay, so when you look at this part, this is one of the key questions I always get all the time, right? It's what should I do in life? Okay, what role should I play? Should I be running businesses? Should I be going for that management role, or should I just climb the corporate ladder? Right? So you want to talk about roles, you look at a 10 God structure. This is important. Okay, so this is technically when you look at what roles you should play in life, right? So I did went on some of the people that are very good in doing sales. So how do you know you should be in a sales role? You look at the 10 God structure. Now, if you're not going to, if you totally don't have any information on the 10 God structure, remember my last few episodes was cover all of this part of it. Now, of course, for some of you, you have been with my training for quite a long time. Okay? How many of you is with me for a long time? Type long time. Okay, type it inside the box, type long time. So I know that you are really the long comers. You've been with me with episodes 1 all the way to today. We are like episodes 9, right? So big, long time. I can see you're one of those, they are action takers. You want to take control of having more information with your life. So ultimately you can get clarity. All right. So you have been with me for episodes 1, right? Just key in long time, type long time. So I know how many of you is getting this. Okay. So when we are talking about, right, so a couple of you is giving me the, let me just pull out some of the comments. Also, we're Eamon is having long time. Yeah, I've seen Eamon for a very, very long time. He has been with me of all my Facebook Live, and he shares all my video sessions. So Eamon is a long time supporter. We have Zhen Ping, right? So we have Anna, And we have Chris, we have Susan, we have Lo Ching Wei. Lo Ching Wei is a student, right? A very long time ago, yeah. And we have Francis Yo. Francis Yo, by the way, is our academy instructor. So most of my instructors is here with me, right? So we have Ron, right? And we have Helen, we have Sharon, we have Thomas Ang, right? So Marilyn, yeah, since episode 1. Okay, so this is good because I can see, you know, you guys really wants to take advantage of whatever information that is coming your way. That is how you change life. You see, most people will take the easy way out. The easy way out right now is, since they stay at home, or probably Malaysia has kind of resumed a bit of the activity, but still kind of restricted. Most people may take the easy way out by, you know, just tuning on to your television, watching your favorite drama and what's not. That's the easy way out. So I always say this, part of my journey in life is to inspire as many of you as possible to basically take more action. You must understand that, you know, if you want to get to the path that most people is not getting, there may be a little bit of the uncomfortable journey that, you know, like exactly what you're doing now, right? At 9 p.m., you could be, you know, watching your favorite television, you could be, you know, sleeping or what's not, but here you are tuning in to live and then trying to pick up valuable information on what you can do about your chart. This is what I mean about taking action, right? So very, very important. And of course, we have Yixing. Now, of course, getting back to the Bazi itself. Now, when you look at the 5-element structure, okay, if you look at this 5 element, you look at there is a total of different percentage, right? I always talk about this. You try to observe what is some of your core percentage. So, example, this chart I put up here, right? This person, the wealth start, okay? If you look at wealth, is at 35%. This is quite a huge percentage. Huh? So if you look at his wealth star, it's 35%. Now, let me know what sort of percentage you have. Now, let's look at your 5-factor element. Go into the your Bazi chart itself. Look at this wealth element and type in the percentage you're getting. Now, this is important because this also gives you some shortcuts on. I'm going to give you some of the information on why do some people, you know, get into certain industry. Right, even though this may not be the best industry they will perform in. Okay, so look at it. Right, so look at your wealth element. See what sort of percentage do you have in terms of the 5-element factor. I actually put it out on my screen here. Okay, so we have Joshua is having 10. All right, so Anna is having 25. Okay, so and then we have Rachel 2%. Okay, 2%. It's still a small percentage, but it's still better than nothing, right? Okay, so technically, you see, if you look at this part on the wealth management, if this is one of your highest percentage, now a lot of the time, right, one of your key role is technically you'll be able to find out that, you know, you can't move away from wealth management, be it businesses or be it you getting involved in the financial sector. This is one part of it. First, this is not entirely just the wealth part of it. It also means that your ability to generate wealth, right, that is already a destiny chart to that. So looking at your wealth sector to it, this is in fact one of the key elements we look at. Now, of course, you look at what is your top percentage of your element right now. You see, you look at this box, it actually says two things. Yeah. First and foremost, it says 35% is at wealth element. Now, the second information you will see from here, it also says that this is also talking about matter element. See, it's talking about two things. First, wealth. It's one of the 10 God structure, okay? And you look at matter, it's one of the 5 element. So this app will immediately help you to pull out this information. So if you don't have access to this app, goes to mybazi.info, you'll be able to plot your date of birth and time. So once you have plotted, you'll be able to, you know, get access to whatever I'm looking at my screen here. But of course, whatever I have here, you know, this is for our students and instructors onwards. There will be more information, such things like clashes, combo. Don't worry about all this technical stuff because this is when students wants to go into deep learning. I usually don't want them to spend a lot of time memorizing anything. So the software will take care of a lot of the memory work. So this is being done for our students who go into full practices. Now, for some of you who just got started on this, right, you don't have to worry about this part, which is talking about the technical part of reading a chart. Now, right now, I'm giving you at least, you know, by tonight, right, you look at a certain chart, okay, you print out the chart and you look at some of this percentage, then you will have a good idea, you know what, why are you doing certain industry or certain trade. Now, you see, some people, like my example here, this one is having 35%, okay, on matter element is 35%. Relatively, what you can say is this person will most likely very easily get involved in the matter element industry. So what do we mean by the matter element industry? Now, so matter element talks about your financial sector. It talks about banking. It talks about stocks market. It talks about some people wants to look at trading, right? So these are all your matter industry. So even engineering, mechanical parts, manufacturing, all these are part of the matter industry. Now, of course, don't get me wrong when I say that why you want to be looking at this part. It's some people have no idea why they get into one industry, right? In their whole life, they could be, example, doing accountancy. So that is also under matter element. Okay. So this person, he may not, be looking at what he wants to do, but accidentally, it could be through a friend, it could be through someone else. He went into this trade, and suddenly, there he is, gone into accountancy for like 10 years. Some people do HR for like 10, 20 years. So why is that so? You look at your chart, right? Because the element that has a higher percentage usually says that your influence in that industry, normally it's you will get into that industry pretty fast. Now, when I say don't get me wrong, it's some people get into the industry for very long. It doesn't mean that you'll do well in that particular industry, right? So to know that whether you do well or not, usually we have to look a bit deeper inside the chart, whether the element is suitable for this person, right? That's when you can talk about favorable and unfavorable elements. So this is for later part of the training, which is to be a little bit more advanced. But at your stage, at least understand, look at what is some of your key elements that you have right now. Okay, so let's look at some of the elements I'm looking at. Let's look at fire. Okay, so I want to look at fire here. So how many of you have this element, okay, of fire? Look at your chart, right? So look at your percentage. Let me know your percentage. Type it in right now, right? I want to know what is your percentage of fire, okay? So technically, fire industry talks about a few things, right? Some people, when you look at the fire industry, you can look at IT. Now, this is technically, we call that we have already entered the period 9 era. The theory of that is this. People always say that period 9 is coming in 2024. But here's the thing, in 2017 onwards, the energy of period 9 has already arrived. Okay, so like it or not, some of us will already have to tap into the fire era that is already here right here with us. Yeah. Okay, let me just look at some of your percentage. Okay, so I have Bona. Bona is having 22%, Jennifer having 9%, Kenny having 6%, and then Cami is having 30%. Okay. So I have Susan 32, Rachel is 20, right? So Chris is 20, Margaret having 25, Vincent having 30, right? So we have PY Liu is 26, okay? So we have Bridget 32. Okay, so quite a fair bit of you having fire element. Okay, so what do we mean by here is this. Now, if you look at fire element, all right, when you have this element inside your chart, here's the good thing, right? The good thing is for you to get involved with fire element, which is the upcoming era of energy, where the whole world starting to digitalize, right? Which is going to be the period of next 20 years. So when you have fire energy inside your chart, it is easier for you to embrace this industry faster than other people who don't have that, right? So some of you, if you don't have fire, fret not, right? There are other solutions we can be looking at. Sometimes we can look at the luck cycle. Sometimes we can look at the individual year. But in general terms, at least look at your own chart right now. Okay, so this fire means that if you have the fire element right inside your chart, it's easy for you to embrace this coming era of energy. Period 9, right, is talking about infocom, right? So the next 20 years is all about infocom. It's all about high-tech technology. So you realize the COVID-19 situation kind of throw us into this era at the very shortest amount of time possible. Most people who probably have never experienced, okay, using Zoom, they may have now need to do their work using Zoom meeting every other day. So look at your fire element. Now, so fire element, you got it. That's one of the good news for you, right? You can get into this industry easier because this is part of the destiny chart. Some of you don't. Then again, I did mention you can look at other factors, right? So let's talk about other element. Let's talk about this earth. How many of you have the earth element inside your chart? Look at your percentage. Okay, type your percentage right now. I need to be looking at what is the percentage you're having. Now, if this is the first time you join me here tonight, this is Kevin Foong. Thank you for tuning in to the night show, where I actually put out a bit of time to share with the community how does using Bazi and Feng Shui will be able to help us to get clarity in our life and ultimately transforming our life to the direction that we want. Now, this is ultimately what I'm doing here, right? We are not learning parts for the sake of learning parts. Nobody really bothers about learning parts, but we want to take control of information to know how we can empower ourselves to make well-informed decisions so that the outcome is exactly what you're looking for, right? So that is like a blueprint, yeah? So give me your comments. Okay, feel free to just punch in your comments. Now, if this is your first time joining me, do help me to like and share the post. Again, I did mention that when you share the post, please set your post to public, because when you do that, you obtain the status of a sharer. In the third segment, I will start to pick up some Q&A, right? Assuming we've got more time, I'll do some Q&A to answer some pressing questions on your parcel chart, right? So I'll pick from the pool of people who are sharers. So once you share, remember to set the post to public, yeah? Okay, so let me look at some of you who have the earth element. So we have Chemist. Chemist is having 19%, okay? So Anna is having 22%. All right, so then we have Miha Lim is having 23%, okay? So Rina is having 39, well, that's high percentage. Alex, 60%, okay, real high. And then we have Jackson is 38% and Marilyn is having 21%, okay? So this is quite well done. All right, so what is it about earth industry? Now, here's the thing. Earth industry is talking about a few things. First and foremost, it's talking about real estates. This is one of the key questions. Now, in every other consultations I'm having almost every day, I get questions that is asking, should I buy real estates right now? Of course, that's when we have to look at the person's date of birth and time, the parcel chart. We look at the luck pillar to indicate, it will indicate whether the person is in a good time to benefit from this real estate purchase. After all, a lot of people has been saying that, in real estates, right now it may be one of the best time, but of course, if you want to wait a little longer, you can still do so, because in terms of the industry, we are looking at, right now, the next wave, it's, economy is going to come down to do a bit of market corrections, having stayed, frozen for a couple of months. So you need to give a bit of timeline. So when that happens, what will happen is it may push real estates down for a fair bit, right? So, okay, if you look at the part on real estate, it also means that what is your affinity with real estates, right? So if you look at earth element, if you do have this, now some people, when they have earth element, some people might be asking, am I suitable to be in insurance? Okay, the news is insurance is also considered under trust. Trust is under earth element, okay? So you need to look at your element to determine, right, whether it's your element, having earth element, what is the percentage in your chart. Okay, now here's the thing, yeah? Some people may be having high percentage. High percentage, again, I rephrase, it means that it's easy for you to have affinity with this sort of industry. You can work in it, you can invest in it, right? You can get some benefits from it. But when you want to look at, is it the easiest way to get the maximum benefits out of it, we don't just study what is the highest percentage. We have to study a little bit on what is the favorable element of the chart, right? So that is one of the key elements here, right? So of course, let's look at other elements per se. Now, this is quite interesting. How many of you got a wood element? Okay, look at your wood element and type in right now. So at least I know what is the percentage that you're looking at right here, right? So what is the percentage of you guys having in terms of the wood element? Feel free to look at your percentage and then give me your feedback, right? So at least I know some of you is looking at that perspective, okay? So when you want to look at a few things, so example, Wina was saying is the food manufacturing under earth element. Now, manufacturing to me is under matter element. It's not under earth element, right? So manufacturing is in terms of machineries and what's not is under a matter element. Okay, so the answers is just got in. So we have Bonavi, it's having 32% of wood, right? So Chemist 27, Joshua's 24, Susan is 17, and then Margaret is 15, right? And wow, so we have Hayden. This one is quite accurate. Yeah, this is one of the key reasons why we study parcel chart, because it's somewhat as if like you're looking at stocks market, but the only difference is you want to be really good at decoding your chart. It's all about practices. That's all. Okay, so we are not telling you stories about we are not bringing religion into phase, because all of these are actually mathematical calculation based on the date of birth and time, based on where the sun position is, and of course, all other planets and the stars. And of course, in Chinese astrology for Bazi, we are looking at 24 solar terms. right? So that's why this is one of the key reasons you want to study Bazi. You realize the accuracy is 99.9, unless you may not have invested a lot of time to understand your chart, right? So this is what we are doing here, right? In case you don't know what we are doing here, and some of you already got access to the online training. By the way, that is Bazi Jumpstart, right? So if you want to get access to the Bazi Jumpstart training, the link, right, is already on the Facebook Live itself. Please make sure you get access. Currently, right now, we have about 3,200 people. Of course, compared to other courses that we have been doing post pre-COVID-19, probably we hit 12,000 people before, right, in terms of online training. But right now, it's still a good number, right, because we're looking at 3,000 plus people. There's still 3,000 plus people learning how to decode their chart right now. To us, it's that's one of the key reasons we reduce a lot of the pricing to make sure that we admit as many people as possible, so as much of you can be getting access. And of course, Anna also having 25% of wood, right? So Chris is having 17, and then Liu is having 8%. Now, so what is this thing about the technically the wood element, right? Wood element represents a few things. It represents HR, okay? It represents agriculture, all right? So of course, certain jobs may have representation based on two elements because they somewhat cross-function a little bit here and there, right? So if you're into HR, if you're into agriculture, right, you're into biology, right, you're into the people business, right, these are most of the wood element that you may get involved in. And true enough, in fact I see that a lot of people who has wood element in their chart, they may also do things like example direct marketing, network marketing, MLM, sales. This is jobs that involve a lot of human interactions, and they can't seem to really get out from this part of the job, right? So this is what happens when you have the wood element that is giving you quite a bit of the covering up, right? In terms of the energy, pointing you to your destiny chart. Now, why is this important, right? It's because too many people, they don't understand why are they in that trade for such a long time. Some are a bit more luckier. So example, some, they happen to be in that trade, and so happen that element is also the best element for them. So what happens is this: you get into it easily. You also make a huge amount of money easily. That means you probably get to, cash out, or you become a high flyer, or you get into their businesses, you get sold on the businesses really easily, and then, you get to retire early. But these days, I'm not really sure about the retirement word anymore because, after I think everyone has a taste of COVID-19 stay at home, I think we all is starting to have second thoughts about retirement, right? When you really literally stay at home and do nothing, it's not really such a nice feeling after all, yeah? Okay, so let's look at one more element, right? Let's look at not the matter, let's look at the water element here, okay? We have discussed a few. Let's look at the last element, okay? See how many of you got water element. Type your water element, right? Your percentage in, okay? So I know how many of you is looking at the water element. This is one of the key things that we want to be studying, and I thought I covered this part of the training. And then in the second part of it, what I will be doing is I talk a bit about your Feng Shui setup for 2020. Last episodes, I probably only cover about 5 minutes. Maybe I give a little bit more time. Part 3, again, I'll be sharing, right? I'll be giving you clarity. I'll be taking some questions on Bazi. So you have to give me a date of birth and time. You need to ask the questions. I'll give you some directions from there. But again, I'll pick this from the pool of sharer. In order you are not sure what do you mean by sharer, you need to you need to share the post, you need to set the post to public. You obtain the status sharer. So example, I'll pick out a bit on who are the sharers. So example, Tan Yising is a sharer. So if you don't know how he get the status, is you have to share, you have to set the post to public, okay? So when you do that, you obtain the status of sharer, then I'll pick the questions from the sharer, yeah? So, okay, so in terms of the water percentage, let's look at some of you guys. Okay, so Anna is having 12%. Okay, so we have Jennifer having 9%. Okay, so Arwin having 29%. And then we have Sharon is having 25%, Ron 20%. Okay, so quite a bit of you is having water element, right? So water element, one of the key industry actually talks about is this, okay? So water, number one, is all about tourism, okay? Which is right now, if you look at it, is not one of the best industry to be in, okay? Tourism, transportation, if you look at shipping, some F&B, but F&B, if you're only talking about, let's say you open a pub, right? You do liquor, right? Then that's where you can still fall under the water category. If not, F&B by right should be under the fire element, okay? So this is one of the key factors when you look at element-wise, why you want to be looking at any one of this element inside your chart, again, I re-emphasize, you look at what is the highest percentage. Because when you have the highest percentage with the element, somewhat, you get into that industry easier. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. To get in easy doesn't mean you do well in that industry. Okay. So it just means that somewhat, you maybe get referenced by a friend, or accidentally you went into the industry by chance, and then it becomes like 10 years of a life, right? A lot of us are like that. Okay. So in fact, I heard questions like, people is doing accounting for like 20 years, right? And they have no idea why they were in accounting, because this is definitely not the best subject that they love, but somewhat they're in it for 20 years. So that's when you look at the chart. What is the highest percentage? Means that most likely you will get into that trade for a pretty long time, right? So you want to know that, at least it give you some form of direction. So at least you know that if you're going to plan any of the businesses, any of the direction where you want to work in, this one serve some guidelines, right? So of course, in our Bazi Jumpstart, I've covered more in-depth training. I covered 100% in the 10 God training, right? Which means to say, it wants to know what you are really good at, right? In terms of your strength, your weakness, what is the key role you should play, what are the things that you will get 100% fulfillment. It reach, deep into your spirits, body, mind, and soul. You need to study the 10 God structure, which is not difficult. Now, the Bazi Jumpstart, I actually break it out to only like 7 short videos, right? So probably if you are really good, one day you can, finish everything. But most of them finish about 2 to 3 days. It's not taking too much of the time. It comes with PDF notes and everything. And right now, I think my team has set it to, I think, massive 80% discount, right? For most of you who want to get on board, go there. Now, for the 3,000 plus of you, we already plus minus complete the course. Tomorrow, you'll receive an email from the team, right? It will give you access to the information, to the higher advanced information of the Bazi training, where you get to read everything from your relationship, from your health, from knowing that who is going to be compatible with you, right? From knowing that how you're going to do in this 1 year, in this 10 years, in this 5 years. You can even go down to knowing what will happen in which month. Okay, that's actually something we cover in the higher level class. Most people say that we are not here to forecast, but I always say that, that's the whole idea of learning Bazi. You need to know a little bit of a blueprint, what roughly is about to happen. So if it's in a good phase, then what will happen is, your action is going to make that 10x, 10 times, right? So if you are not in a very good phase, then what happened is, I'm not asking you to sit down, do nothing. Most schools are saying that, okay, if you're in a bad luck cycle, totally don't do anything. I find that is a little bit difficult. Now, so example, if your luck cycle is not supportive for like 10 years, it's quite difficult to ask someone to sit there and do nothing for 10 years. So I always believe that in this place, in this case, what is the option do I have, right? I will look at technically, right? You see, if the year is not good, you can look at good months. If the good month's not good, you can look at good days. So if you don't know how we're going to look at the month and days, let me just do a very quick demonstration for you guys. This is what you can be doing here. Now, when you plot the Bazi chart, this is at technically mybazi.info, right? So we designed the Bazi chart in such a way whereby these days you can go deep into 100 years, every day, every month, down to 24 hours, and I mean it, right? So you can look at it yourself. This is technically, even right now at the free version you guys is using, right? mybazi.info is a free version. You don't pay anything, right? So you go in, when you click on the luck cycle, example, in this case, you click on luck cycle, you get to see that the 10 years of this luck cycle will open up, right? So if you look at, you see all of this 10 years, it will open it up, and you get access to all of this 10 years. Example, if I click 2028, I click on this box, all right? When you click on it, what happened is you get a 12 months, right, energy of what is going to come up for you. And this is only designated for your Bazi chart, right? And if you go into example, July 2028, this box here, when you click on it, you will get access to 30 days. In fact, 31 days for that month of July, okay? So, and if let's say that the day you want to get access to more information, you click on any day, you get access to 24 hours. This is how powerful, IT has brought us. In the past, when I have to do a Bazi chart, I probably need about 2 hours, and not eliminating that could be human error. But these days, you can be plotting this chart here, right, in just seconds. And what we'll be studying, in fact, some of you already study the Bazi, thank God, you realize that a lot of the advanced things that we are studying, right? Let me just put this up for you. It's okay. you realize there's a lot of icons. You see, there is DW, which is what we studied, direct wealth. There is IR, there is DR. Of course, this is just at the general level. Deeper level, we look a bit about the combination, the clashes, the harms. This is not difficult because the software actually documents everything for you. You don't even need, if you look at this part, right? The software actually already documents every of this part for you. You don't even need to be memorizing any of this. This is one of the key challenges. Some students, they went all the way to instructor level, right? So they say that sometimes it's a bit hard to memorize. We get it. So this is one of the reasons that we got the team to make sure that everything is inside the computer software. So you don't do any memory work, right? So, and if you look at this, the icons is enough to give you one of the good indication. So one of the key things that we want to be doing is this, right? If you are not having a good year, my take is, what can you do in these 12 months? You need to identify, if this year is not good, I probably wouldn't want you to stay put and do nothing for 1 year. I mean, you'll be wasting that 1 year of your time. You can probably look at this entire 12 months, right? What could be some of the better months? So maybe these are some of the better months, right? So these are the months that you don't execute your big ideas, right? You don't sign contract in this kind of month, right? So these are just some of the examples on what happens if you use technically Bazi to give you your planning, right? And your examples. When you look at this, it's getting easy by the day. It's not getting more difficult. I don't ask you to flip books to memorize stuff, because gone are the days that you are still flipping books and memorizing stuff. In fact, most of the algorithm that we can get it in, we already get it in for you guys. So this is quite a straightforward thing to come to this part, right? So of course, this is easy, right? If you look at why are we studying the 5 element. Now, if you've just been with me right now, what you want to be doing is you look at technically, how do you plot your Bazi chart? Is mybazi.info, okay? So, and if you look at the 5 element chart we are talking about here, this information pulls out a lot of vital information about what industry you most likely will get involved in, okay? So this is one of the things that we always get asked most. If I want to invest, what industry? If I want to change my job, I don't do this again, what industry, right? So of course, I like to divide that into both industry and roles. So not just industry, yeah? So if you look at the 10 God is talking about roles, what roles you should play? Should you be in sales? Should you be doing management? Are you an investor? Or are you a very down-to-earth person? You like to play things safe? Are you a researcher, a data miner? So what are you? What is your core strength? You need to get to know all of your 10 God structure. I've covered this in my episodes 5, 6, 7, 8. But of course, you want it fast, just get on to our Bazi Jumpstart, right? It's only a double, I think it's only a double digit fee, right, for you to get access. Now, if this is the first time you attend my class, usually in our academy, when you do a live class, it's $5,000, right, for a 3 days live class. Okay, so some of you has been with me for a long time. You know that these are the fees that students are paying. But for some of you, you are new, totally new beginners. I understand that. So we designed something very easy for you to get on board. Okay, so I guess that you find this part in the Bazi is easy, yeah? Right, so if you find this part is easy, type easy. Okay, so let me know. I need to know some feedbacks, right? If you find this is not difficult, it's easy, type easy. Okay, type easy by looking at percentage, right? Look at percentage. Are you able to find the percentage? If you can find the percentage, type easy, right? I'm just only looking at these 2 boxes here. It's not anything complicated. Okay, so type easy, yeah, and then I'll be able to get it. Okay, in the second part, this is what I'll be doing here. I'll be covering a little bit on your okay. So all the easy comment is all coming, huh? So we have Kenny, easy and good, right? So we have Flaw, easy, Joshua, easy, Jackson, okay, Vincent, easy, okay, that's cool, right? We have Ising, right? Kristan, okay, so yeah, Rachel, and of course, Jia Wai Chong, okay. Then we have Bona, so that's a lot, right? So we have and the Syria, right? We have Rina. Okay, so see, really a lot of people is not finding that, last time, if I want to study Bazi, I'll probably be, buying a lot of books, flipping a lot of charts, and then I don't know who to look for answers. These days, we already went on to IT era. So with IT, I had a huge IT team. So, I mean, if you don't know my background, right, I run data center. Okay, so I've been running the data center since 1997. So right now, my team, their strongest assets is IT, right? So, and all of this, if you look at this studio, you look at all the equipment, it's all set up by them, and then they are one of the best of the best. It's thankful to have a team to be able to support whatever I'm doing right now, since my time is very limited, right? Okay, so if you look at technically, right, in the second part, I'd like to talk about this part here. Okay, so of course, this one talks a bit more about the pillars. Okay, what do I mean by pillars? Yeah, so you see, anything that falls, let's say this box and this box here, is talking about the year. All right, the year means what? Your external influences. You're talking about your friends, your social circle, your network. Okay, anything that falls in this box here, right? If you got this two, right? You look at the man branch, man pillar. It's talking about your family. It's talking about your authority. Usually family and parents, right? If you look at this box, it's talking about you. So if you look at this earthly branch, it's talking about your spouse. So it's quite easy and straightforward, right? Other episodes, I'll give you a bit more information what type of spouse roughly you marry. Okay, so if you're not gotten married yet, don't worry. I'll give you some indication. Okay, so parts can be a very fun subject. Huh? Okay, if you look at this box here, okay, this is technically talking about a few things, right? This is talking about your children. It's talking about your career. Now, most people, they get misunderstood. They think the man is career. Now, this is not true. If you look at the classics, it was never determined that the man is career. It always tells you that your hour palace is your career palace. And this is important. You want to look at career, this is this. Okay. Next episode, I'll talk about what sort of career you likely will go into, just looking at the hour pillar, right? So these are very simple information that you can be finding from here. Now, you probably want to stick with me at the end of the presentations, because I'll be giving you links on how to download this. I know some of you may not gotten the PDF file the last episode, right? I'll give you some of the key access. Again, we've tested this. It was working fine. So later on, stay with me to the end of the episodes. I'll give you access how to download this Feng Shui guide. It gives a bit of parts of Feng Shui guide. So you'll be able to understand a little bit more from that, right? So I probably will cover a bit more on your Feng Shui in the next episode, since I don't want to be taking up too much of your time. In the next 10 minutes, let's probably take some of the Bazi chart question, okay? So this is what we will be doing, right? If you want to be asking questions, do me a favor. Please like and share the post. When you share the post, please set the post to public. When you do that, you obtain the status of a sharer. Now, in case you don't know what the sharer status look like, you can look at a few people, right? So N is now a sharer. Okay, so if you look at N, okay, she is now a sharer. So how she obtained this is you share the post and you set to public. Okay, so what you can be doing here is this. Now, if you want to be asking questions about your Bazi chart, if you don't mind, right? This is just for studying case studies purpose. Post your date of birth and time, and then you post your question. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll put out the chart, right? I will not zoom so much in about your date of birth and time. I put out your chart, and of course, looking at the question, I give you some of the guidelines. Okay, I thought this is important, right? So what I can be doing right now is take this time, okay, to be posting your questions, and then you will want to be posting your date of birth and time, right? Of course, if you can indicate your gender as well. I think most people should be able to tell from there, but just in case, okay? So I think Joshua, right? So Joshua, let me look at it. Joshua is a sharer. Okay, let me answer the question from Joshua. So, okay, so this is having 19. So I will just show you live how you can plot the chart. It's quite easy. It's not difficult. Huh? So what you'll be doing here is you go to mybazi.info. When you are at that, so as example, if you look at it, is 1987. Apologies for Joshua. In case I need to put out your chart here and the comment is because because the comment is going out very fast, right? So I put it out on the screen so I can be looking at it and not having to flip through the comment, because I probably cannot catch up because the comment is going very fast, which is good. Right? Keep giving me your comments and your updates. So this is like a both way conversation. So this is November, right? And then this is 26. Okay. So and then we got the time is 5:52, right? You realize I don't do a lot of emphasis on the minutes because in the Chinese astrology, we look at Chinese hour, right? So the chart will change with every 2 Western hour, right? So 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, the chart will change, okay? So you don't have to look into the minutes too much, but of course, Some of you are students, you realize that I'll give you a different practices if you want to chase the highest accuracy. Okay, so once you're done, of course, Joshua, and then we can just click plot. So of course, once you plot the chart, you see the chart is up, all right, within a quick amount of time. Okay, you can see that the chart is already out. Okay, so and it's going to, so Joshua question is asking, number one, which industry and role is suitable? Okay, so how do we get the answers from that? So you see, if you're studying a Bazi chart, you look at a few things, right? You want to be looking at the percentage. Okay, what do you think in this case Joshua is suitable to do, right? So you see there's a few stars. You see that is this direct wealth stars. This is about 70%. You see that eating God, right, is about 25%. He has 7 killing, all right, and this is 60%. And the indirect resource, okay, this is about 50%. So that's like 4 core categories of what, you know, characteristics Joshua is having. So if you look at it, the highest percentage, right, if you look at it, is 70% direct wealth. Now, one of the first thing is I'll be giving you a little bit of this kind of pointer to understand yourself first, because let's not just talk about the role that you want to play. When you understand yourself, you ultimately will select role that will fulfill your inner desire, ultimately to fulfillment. And I thought that's very, very important. Okay, so if you look at his direct wealth stars, now technically, if you look at Joshua, direct wealth stars is talking about money management, right? Joshua probably is quite good with it if you look at that part of it. So that means you can deal with processes, right? You can, I'm not saying that you're dollar and cent, but you probably watch that financial number pretty well, okay? The only thing that you want to be careful is some of these people, they are too overly prudent, right? Then they may miss out on certain opportunities. So that's something for you to look at if you look at the direct wealth stars, right? So if you look at other stars, okay, now if you look at the 7 killing, it's pretty high percentage as well. What does it say? Okay, so Joshua, you probably can already do management role for quite a long period of time. But whether you want to do it or not, you like it or not, is another thing. Okay, so what do I mean by this is this. Now, officer star, 7 killing is one of the officer star. Now, if you look at this officer star, it's looking at a lot of things. 7 killing is also a star that can push you with a lot of stress. So your tolerance for stress is quite high, right? So Joshua, if you look at it, your tolerance for stress is quite high. That means that if you want to be looking at management role, that could be one of the roles that you will want to go into, because I don't think that is a huge issue for you. It's about how you are managing your stress level, right? And then if you look at these stars here, it talks about your indirect resource, okay? So what's your indirect resource? Indirect resource means that you are also a very data, very analytical person. But one key thing to note is this: you are a very intuitive person. So you do a lot of things, you usually will base on your gut feelings, your sixth sense. So what can you read from the gut feeling and the sixth sense? And if you ask me on that, I'll say that you can trust your gut feeling and sixth sense, because most of the time, okay, your gut feeling and sixth sense is present in the heavily stem. Okay, so this is very strong. Now, if you look at this part of it, it means that anything that is intuitive, anything that, you know, you got a feeling that I think this will work well for me, you can look deep into your inner feelings, because your inner feelings is already given you a lot of this connection. Some people like to call this divination. Divination means that you try to forecast what is about to happen. But usually people who have indirect resource stars, okay, they already have this part of mechanics in them. Just like they are not really psychic, okay, but they have very good sixth sense, right? That's the good part of the indirect resource star. And I think, Joshua, you can go very far, in, of course, in the Feng Shui and metaphysics industry, because most people who have these stars, usually they learn this subject very fast. They will understand astrology, they understand the stars, they have interest in Feng Shui, they know how to use this to their advantage. And I can see you can do that pretty well. But of course, if you're talking about this year, now 2020, right, I will tell you that maybe it's not a very good year for you, because there may be a lot of unhappiness in your work environment right now, all right? And you may felt like you want to challenge, you want to be vocal, you don't like certain processes. I don't know, of course, what you're doing right now. That is one of the key part, right? So if you look at that itself, it's going to tell you that 2020, changing job might be on your mind right now. That is the first thing you want to change your job, okay? But of course, is it a good time to change? My advice to you is it's not a good time, all right? Definitely it's not this year. So if you are still having a job, okay, I will tell you to keep your job right now. You have to understand that right now it's COVID-19, okay, economy apart, technically you don't want to be changing job right now, because most businesses is cutting down on expenses. Most businesses is cutting down on recruitment. Okay, of course, some industry will still be hiring, not all 100% of it, right? But general consensus is you get a 70%, 80% of people, they may be shrinking their manpower right now. So if you still got a job, I want you to have probably be thankful and have gratitude to your employer right now, because they may be trying their very best to support whoever they can right now. Trust me, because no employer like to retrench people. Okay, because getting good people is very hard to come by. If you retrench, there's a new training period. You need to onboard them again. There's a lot of hassle. Retrenchment is usually the last thing that's on an employer mind, right? So because people, a team, help the company to grow. Okay, so coming back to industry, you observe a few things, right? So how do you find out what industry that maybe Joshua should do? Okay, first and foremost, I think because your analytical skills is quite strong, okay, given that your indirect resource stars, okay, it's pretty high. Okay, if you look at this, is 50%, right? So anything that I'm going to talk about the role first. Role wise, you want to do anything that is research, business development, R&D, strategy planning, right? Or even identify certain trend that is about to come. I think you are very good in this role. Okay, because you got the foresight to see kind of beyond, not like 10-20 years, but at least for the next 1-2 years, you probably already get a sense of it. That's one. Now, if you of course look at industry wise, there's a few options you can choose, right? It seems like earth element is pretty good industry for you. Okay, if you look at fire industry, is also not too bad for you as well. In fact, fire is something you need to consider, right? That means it's IT, infocom technologies, and this is one of the key things. Infocom, of course, not lighting will be import export, but if you do digital infocom, IT planning, right? That's one of the key things in terms anything that's got to do with digitalization. That is the new format moving forward. Okay, so right now you have to know that a lot of work is going to move on to the next platform, which means meetings have to take place behind Zoom, right? Teaching people these days can take place behind just streaming live, right? Which is not bad. In fact, I kind of already got used to this process